Am I ever going to see this race again? Welcome back to the lab. Saturday morning. We sorted the... I was going to talk about something, but let's talk about something else first. We sorted the seat mounts for the driver's seat. We have lifted up the actual mounts on the floor 55 millimeters higher than what they were, which allowed us to mount the seat in its brackets 55 millimeters lower in its brackets, which stiffened up. It's a bit glary for you, that's better. Which stiffened up the driver's seat in the vehicle. So it's still same height, same position as where it was before. It's now significantly more rigid in the car, and to do that we had to take this bar out. Well, we didn't have to, but that's the way I did it. I took this bar off, took it off there, and cleaned it all up, put it all back in. That's actually still the same bar. Spoke with Motorsport New Zealand about that. Technically, paperwork has to be done for that, so that's fine. Seeing as we're doing the paperwork there, I mentioned in an earlier video about the height of the harness bars compared to the seats. It looks really drastic from this angle on this camera. That's about 20 degrees or something from top of the bar to the bottom of those harness mounts, which is on the high side. It should be 15 maximum. We can probably put the back of the seat down one hole, and that would take that to 15, and that will be okay. So there's some other things to deal with as well. It's very similar on the passenger side because the passenger seat has been moved. It's actually not bolted down, so it looks really, really bad where it is just there. Has been moved around from where it was when the cage was originally built, and we had this in an east-west configuration. Now we've turned it, I'm going to call it south-north, not north-south because the engine's backwards in the car, so I'll say south-north. Doesn't make any sense to anyone at all. We've got some clearance issues, I guess you could say they're issues. Nothing rubs or touches there, right? It looks really bad on camera. Let's put some more light on the subject. But, does that make it worse? That makes it worse. There is clearance there between the rocker cover, cam cover. Doesn't have rockers. Cam cover and the main diagonal. It's just getting to number 5 cylinder. Change the spark plug on that. Yeah, that's fun. And also, it'd be nicer if this main harness, the driver's harness bar here, was higher up, so then we could build a better inlet manifold for it, a better plenum, make more power, make things easier to work on. And these boxes that I built way back when, they're the same boxes as what I had when it was rear wheel drive only. They're quite big and chunky and heavier than what they need to be, and the whole firewall's 1.6, which is again probably bigger and chunkier than what it needs to be. We could probably do all that in 1.2, trim whatever that is, 30% of the weight out of the firewall. So what we're thinking, we're going to chop this main diagonal there, chop the harness bar there, pull that out, remount this main diagonal 100 mils from the foot, which is the maximum amount that you're allowed. So from there to the bottom of the bar, I guess, or we'll go to the center, just play on the safe side, 100 mils instead of what might be 50 at the moment. That has to be within 100 of the radius, so we'll just move it up so it intersects with these puppies here, and that will give us heaps more room there. That'll be significantly better. We'll be able to get that cam cover off with the engine in the car without lowering it. Never mind changing the spark plug, and that'll be a walk in the park at that point. We'll lift up these harness bars so that they're basically parallel with the back of the seats at the moment where they are. This one's not going to make any difference really. It's actually going to make the car heavier. Oh, and it'll cancel out because we'll take a bit off that one and we'll add a bit on that one. So as far as weight goes, no change here. That stays the same. It just goes up. There, because we're going up, we'll take a tiny little bit off the end of the bar. Everything else pretty much cancels out, so it won't change the weight of the actual vehicle as far as what's in the roll cage. What we do with the firewall, we'll work to pull a little bit out while we're at it there. Yeah, well, if it didn't look like a car under construction reconstruction, as the case may be. Before, it should do now. Really quite a few bits and pieces stuck together to create this contraption. Probably something to do with the original build didn't have this hack out of here, this hole out of here for the motor to go in there. So that distance from down there up to there is further than 1.2 meters, and so is that. So you couldn't do this out of one piece of aluminium sheet unless you specifically ordered some wider stuff or whatever, and I'm sure you can get it if you ask for it. So yeah, we might be able to run a join across there, do this whole thing as one piece, and those bottom two bits as two separate pieces, and that'll save having the join running up there, and this piece that's smashed on the end of that for some reason, whatever it is, and you know, you won't have a join down there, etc. It'll make it all a bit tidy. As per that piece unfortunately won't live again, because we've got to lift this up, and it'll make the hole sizes all wrong. Right, surely everyone can understand now why we're lifting that diagonal up. That's why. Try and change that spark plug. It's fun, it can be done, but it's not the best, and the shape of that inlet manifold, not ideal. If we can pull that harness bar up by 80 millimeters, which is what I've calculated, then we're going to be much better off. Now, originally that bar that goes from that front outer seat mount point or plate or whatever we want to call it, obviously that goes to that intersection there, which is nice. And it won't if we shift the bar, which is not nice. I'm not going to shift that one. It can stay where it is, and that one can go up 80 millimeters, and that's just going to be the way it is. People want to have a cry about it, they can have a cry about it, but most likely no one's going to care. I certainly won't. So, like I said earlier, that can go up, whatever it is, 50 mils or whatever, so we've got 100, the maximum that we're allowed at the bottom of here, and we'll take this end and we'll stick it right there with all those other ones. Everything will be on the one point. And then all those internet experts who like to carry on about load transfer and all that sort of carry on, they can sit there and be happy about that. Sorry if I seem to be repeating myself a lot, but I'm sure there will be somebody watching who hasn't seen all the other videos, who's looking at the two harness bars and having a gripe about them being at a different height. It's a pretty common thing, but people who aren't very familiar with motorsport circles, etc., and what goes on, they often look at that and think, you're an idiot, why didn't the two harness bars line up, etc., and they make all sorts of ridiculous comments talking about load paths and all this sort of force vectors, etc., and make out that they know what they're talking about when really they're idiots. Because it's two different seats in the car. You'll have to excuse the dirt and fluff on this one and the rear vision mirror. And quite obviously, when they were set up in the car originally, if you put the two bases at the same height, these harness holes are significantly lower than those harness holes. And that is why we had two harness bars at different heights to get the harness angles correct for the original installation. Of course, we have changed where the motor is and everything. And we're changing that now, fixing it. Right, cool. So do not write in the comments why the harness bars are at different heights, because I will mock you. Oh, wait. Oh, that's the wrong bar. So, obviously, when cutting bars to change a cage, it's absolutely 100% critical you don't chomp into the bars that you want to save. So you want to leave a little bit of material there. We just scratched that, got close, that's fine. It's not, it might be a tenth, it won't even be a tenth of a millimetre, it's literally a scratch on the surface. So that's absolutely fine, that'll polish out. And we are ready to, I didn't cut this one, I could have, but I didn't really need to at the moment. That basically, crash bang scratch, that bar is potentially long enough to do basically that. I'd say it is well and truly long enough. We'll go up into that mess there. So, and as you can see, we've got heaps more clearance between the engine and that bar. And we'll have to chop this one off and do a new harness bar. Fully expected that, but it's lunchtime. I don't know who painted this. Oh wait, it was me. Glenn, you missed a bit. Actually, Glenn, you missed quite a lot. It's really hard painting roll cages, actually, especially silver, and using a silver / grey coloured undercoat. It's really hard to see in the shadows what you've missed and what you've got. Does it not matter? Well, it does matter if you want it to last forever and it starts rusting. That's not ideal, but that's over 4 years old now, so that's fine. No one ever noticed it before now, I bet. I forgot to do something. I told you all I was going to do this modification that we need to do here, so we can get an air filter on the front of that and build an airbox and change the firewall to suit and all that sort of. Oh, I forgot. I bloomin' forgot. So I've put this bar back in. If you're going to be doing roll cages and stuff, a bit of foam like this is awesome, because you can stick it anywhere, and like on this bar here, and get in there and lean upside down and all sorts of things. Yeah, it looks alright. It's a bit of burny paint around that general area because, yep, get that. It's not brand new cage. I did take all the paint off this bar. This is the old bar being used again. I could have replaced it, but there really is no need. I'm not going to worry about minor surface imperfections from where the other bar joined on there. It's going to be fine. Someone could argue that, oh, it's not 38.1 anymore, it's 38.003 or something like that, or whatever. It's going to be fine, right? So that's, I don't remember, 80 from the bottom to the bottom of the bar, so it's well within the limits, but look how much more room we've got. That's just awesome. We can smoke in there with our coil pack and all that sort of carry on. So we've resolved that little issue. And look, you can put a massive plenum on there. It certainly won't be the diagonal that's going to cause the drama. So we'll get the driver's seat. We'll put that in there soon on its mount. We'll double check the measurements that I made for the height of this harness bar that goes across there. And we'll look at getting those in. It is getting a bit later in the day, but they typically don't take that long to do, but we'll see. This side's probably going to end up here, which is fine. That's good, nice and strong. It was way down here somewhere, as you can see from a few little marks where I took it off. It looks worse on camera than it does in person, of course. Cool, let's do these harness bars. That's our driver's seat smashed in there where it sits. As you can see, by the time we run a bar, it'll be just below the radius, the curve, the bend, and the main hoop there. We run that across, we're going to be miles away from that inlet plenum, which is awesome because that's never been ideal. So I'll reinvent that. Alright, that bad boy's not welded in just yet. Magic clamps are holding it there. At the moment, we've got a bit less than 6 degrees, I think, on our harness angles. With the seat where it is at the moment, like I say, I think it actually goes down. I find it more comfortable down one notch at the back, so it will actually be pretty much horizontal, which is where they want them. Thereabouts. 15 is the recommended maximum. I don't think it's a hard rule, but I think it's what you should be having. All nicely notched, ready to go. I've got enough time. Let's weld that puppy in. Look how much room we've got around the engine compared to what we had. That's so much better. Ta-da! Ta-da! Quite like the colours it makes when you TIG weld things. Not really a fan of MIG welding roll cages and stuff. In fact, I've never MIG welded a roll cage together. Not saying I've done heaps. I've done 6 or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, TIG welding just looks better, in my opinion. Jeebus, we got Blondie on the rock. Yeah, as I said, that's probably about the equivalent of what that bar was, where it was intersecting with the diagonal that goes down there, and this will be the same. Still going to be staggered. If you don't like it, too bad. There we go. Just past 6 o'clock according to my liar on the wall, so midnight or something, I'm not sure. Still daylight, can't be that late. It looks good. Stoked. Look at that, you could stick a, well, I was going to say rugby ball. You wouldn't quite fit a rugby ball through there, would you? You could put your fist through there with heaps of room. So we can do something much nicer with our intake manifold, which is awesome. And our harness angles are going to be more gooderer, more betterer, safe, nice, good. Right, that is just about it. One more thing to do. I've done that. That's it for the day. You can see, well, it's hard to know whether the screen's actually level for you guys or not. I mean, I could hold it like this and say the harnesses are downhill, right? But that is about level. So they are, sorry, uphill I was meaning, but they are ever so slightly downhill towards the harness bar from the top of the bottom of the harness hole in the seat. You can tell I'm getting tired. It's hard to spit out the English just like that. So they're not 100% same, but they're going to be really close. Wicked. Yep, I know. If you haven't thought of it already, I have. That, our engine cover that I went to all the trouble of making a new one and making it all relatively nice, pretty good. If I lift up that inlet manifold, the top of that inlet manifold, it's not going to fit anymore. I have to make a new one. But in the scheme of things, that's not really a big deal. And in fact, given that we've moved this harness, this diagonal and this harness bar, and we've got so much more room, it would not hurt to go through the process of giving ourselves a bit more room around the engine with the engine cover. Right, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment and all that sort of stuff. It does help, the old YouTube logarithm thing, when you like the video and when you comment on the video and you share it and all that sort of stuff. It keeps things ticking along. We get more views and we get the big dollars. It's not big dollars. We get more money for for working on this. And then, if I can use the excuse for wifey that one day that video will pay for those parts eventually, then it's happy wife, happy life. Not so much for the big 5-digit items. That's we can't. YouTube's not going to pay for 5-digit items. Anyway, enough babble. I think pizza tonight. Yum. Right. Cheers, bye.